Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hello, friends. I hope you had a festive holiday week. If you're new around here, my name is Rita M. Perez. I am your host of the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast, where we really go by the principles of making sure you know how to run a travel business as a business and not really like a hobby. So I hope that you have had such an incredible week. I hope you've had like good family or friend time. I hope you've been able to enjoy really, really great food this week as well. This is the the super juicy episode here. So I cannot wait to share. This is always like one of my favorites because it helps me kind of like look back and also look forward a little bit, share with you all the ins and outs of kind of like what made 2025, and then also some of the things that I'm looking ahead to for 2026. So let's jump in. I am going to kick us off with the losses first because this side is a little bit sad. There were a lot of things personally and then also professionally that didn't work really well this year. And so I kind of want to get the not so great stuff kind of out of the way so that we can start talking about the wins. Because I'd much rather focus on those, because especially if I'm looking at my list, there are more wins than there are losses. And it didn't feel like that in the moment. And it didn't feel like that really until I was kind of looking at this list. So I know I'm going to be a chatterbox about all these different things. So let's just get started. So what were my biggest losses in 2020? And I will also say losses aren't necessarily losses per se. They were hardships. They were definite learning opportunities. And just because it's on this negative poo-poo side doesn't mean that I'm also like, there's a more positive outcome that has happened. So the first and foremost thing that I added on this list was my health. Because in 2025, my health, especially when it came to my reproductive health, was the worst year I have ever experienced. So I have endometriosis stage 4. Even with the surgery that I had to get, like there's no way to resolve that. I was suffering from fibroids. I was suffering a little bit on the lighter note, like with some ovarian cysts, TMI, but also not TMI if you do have female reproductive organs. The monthly friend was insane. Like, I was probably incapacitated, like at its worst last year or this past year. Wow. Already thinking about 2026 at its worst. I was probably incapacitated half of the month, meaning I couldn't go out. I couldn't function really well at work, or I was very limited at what it could do at work because of the pain, the intense pain and fatigue that I was experiencing. And I even went to Chinese medicine to get some Chinese medicine herbs to help this out. Everything came to a head this summer. I've never been pregnant. I don't have kids. And I had pain that I can only imagine is the same as labor pains. And so thankfully, my gynecological surgeon, who I had a surgery to remove fibroids and cysts and some endometriosis about 3 years ago, moved very quickly, and we were able to have a hysteroscopy. And I found out that the cause of the first 6 months of like having that intense pain and bleeding was because I had a fibroid the size of my uterus inside my uterus. Wonderful. I was already under the thought that I was done dealing with this, because clearly I had been dealing with this the past 3 years from the surgery that I had. And then prior to that surgery as well. And I was like, I can't, like, my quality of life has diminished so far. I can't even tell you like how many plans I've had to cancel or we couldn't arrange because I knew it was going to fall along my cycle. I was incredibly blessed, very lucky that the 2 trips to Europe that I had this year kind of fell right in between my cycles, because I don't know how I would have managed that. So at the end of June, I went ahead and I scheduled my hysterectomy. I've got my ovaries still, but everything else evicted. So that happened in the beginning of September. But if you know, Prep for Wave Week was also happening in September, my virtual event week where I do lots of trainings to help you get ready for wave season of the new year. And so thankfully, because I had so much like anticipatory time, and I already knew like I was going to start promoting Prep for Wave Week, plan for Prep for Wave Week early, and I had already started contacting partners and speakers during this time. It wasn't too much of a differentiator. I just had to plan for like the almost 2 weeks, like the 10 days to 2 weeks that I needed out for recovery and then also rest, and then obviously to have the surgery. So very unplanned. But I'm very glad that I have done it, because my quality of life, especially being able to be present at things and not being paranoid about certain things happening. I bought my first pair of khaki pants and I don't know how long, and got to wear them at Thanksgiving. So things like that are such a joy and blessing for myself. So while this was a huge, what I would say, loss, because I definitely did not think I was coming into 2025 to do another major surgery, here we are. And then very shortly after I had that surgery, there was a concern about something with my liver. Thankfully, it appears to be benign and kind of stable. And so, but that's on the back burner because I have to get more scans done to make sure that my little friend that's on my liver is not growing anymore. So that's something that kind of makes me a little bit nervous. I'm like, awesome, am I going to need to go into surgery again? But for the most part, I don't have any symptoms when it comes to this, knock on wood. So let's just hope it stays this way. I have also gotten a new healthcare practitioner. And so I'm just excited that we're on the path of getting my health back on track. So super duper grateful for that. On an even kind of sadder note, I found out one of my very close friends within the industry. We had known she's been sick for a while, and it sounds like she's at the end right now. And so about a month ago, we heard about this news. And the one blessing that I find in this is that, like, normally we don't get the chance to say goodbye. And so that is the one positive, is that our friend group has been able to say our goodbyes and share so much love. Somebody in our friend group just recently sent over like a photo book with some of our memories with her of it, so that she can cherish during these final kind of days, and that also her family has a keepsake of some of the best moments that she's had throughout the world. So yeah, finding that out in November on top of everything else that happened in 2025 was very much like, screw you, 2025. You can go and nobody's gonna miss you. Truly nobody's gonna miss you, especially myself. So yeah. Then on another personal note, my partner moved in, and I knew that was going to be a difficult transition, because I know how I am. I'm very particular about my own things. And so, yeah, that first week, unpleasant. It has been much better. But yeah, it's just a new stage, and I feel like if you've moved in with a partner and you kind of have two different like styles and ways of living, that is a big transition for you. So if you've got any pointers, I'd love to hear it. I also mentioned a lot in the last episode that I got my booty back in therapy this year, which has been really helpful. Actually, what I didn't mention in last week's episode is that I have been wanting to get myself back in therapy. Like, there have been different things that have popped up since I kind of temporarily stopped going into therapy. And so I'm like, with so much that happened in 2025, and especially so much that was happening in November, I was like, we're going to stop saying that we're doing this and we're going to actually do it. So some of the things that kind of are starting to come up for me, and like one of the biggest things as to why I went back into therapy, there was a lot of stress that was happening. But I was starting to find out, and I don't think I fully realized this, of how big-ish, I say ish because I don't think it's a big problem, but I know it's a little bit of a problem, of a people pleaser I am. Like, I will not speak up or speak up for myself in times that I probably should, because I want to keep the peace and I want to keep the harmony. And that has to go with one of my biggest strengths, which is harmony. So it's a little difficult when it's kind of like part of me. But I this is something that I'm working on and that I'm working with to speak for myself, because I don't want to keep the peace if I'm also being harmed in the process. And this doesn't have to like do with anything specifically, so I don't want you to assume anything. This is just something that I've found in myself that I need to work on, because I'm finding that I thought I had to, and I feel like in some certain areas I have really great boundaries, in other areas I don't have really great boundaries. So we're gonna figure that out. I'm also finding myself in a lot of different areas. I feel like I'm holding myself back a little bit, and I feel it kind of related to that. I feel like I focus a lot on the negative side of things instead of the positive sides, which is kind of a coinkydink, because I told you there was a lot of heavy and not fun stuff that happened this year. But when I look at my wins for this year, there's a lot of really incredible things that happened this year as well. And there's like more on the win side than there is on the losses side. But I feel like the losses were so heavy. So it's kind of like, how do I get out of that like doom and gloom and focus on this positivity side? Because there is so much good stuff that has happened. So I know, I feel like I'm pouring out therapy to you all now, but I wanted to give you a peek into my brain and kind of what's happening. What did I write here? Oh, I feel like this has a lot to do when I mention I figured out that I might have people-pleasing tendencies. I didn't really stick to my word of the year this year. My word of the year for 2025 was unapologetic. And I giggle to myself every time that I think about it, because I felt like I could not be unapologetic. Like, 2025 started out shocking in many ways, not only like on the health side, but just business was not going the way, like, I feel like 2024 wasn't like a hard year, but I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to put everything in 2025 and it's going to be the best year ever. And then 2025 happened and it wasn't the best year ever. It was a year that I am. Like I said, I will kick 2025 out. Like, when we're doing the countdown at midnight, I'll probably be crying tears of joy because we're finally out of 2025. there was just so much like adaptation, and I felt like scrambling in the background in the back end that had to be done. Like I had to figure out and pivot a lot this year, and I'm like, what is going on right now? So it was not, this was a trying year, and it's gonna be very ironic, I feel, when you hear what my word is for 2026 is, when I mention and talk about all these things. The other loss-ish that I have here on this side is that, and like in full transparency to you all, for my Black Friday promotion this year, many of you know that I offered the lifetime offer for Cruise Content Library, and I had crazy goals. I had insane goals. Again, full transparency, because I want to share everything with you. And I'm hoping that me sharing my story can either help give you ideas or help you feel like, oh my gosh, it's not just me. Or like, I just hope that you can like find some use out of what I'm sharing to help you in your business when you're thinking about growing it for 2026. I didn't sell any of those suckers. I laugh about it now because even though technically this was a loss, I did sell annual plans and there was so much interest. Like, I am still getting emails from people who are like, I missed out on the lifetime offer for Cruise Content Library. So I'm just really excited about that offer coming back next year during Black Friday to see how well it's going to do. Especially me bringing a new element, which is kind of like, I call it the content strategy sheet, but I feel like it should be more. It's kind of like having your own chief marketing officer strategist in your back pocket, because it gives you not only content ideas of how to use content in the library, it also has hook ideas for you. There's relationship building and networking ideas, and then there's also macro content ideas. So that is going to be a huge focus of mine in 2026. And that really is the negatives, the losses on that side. When we're, and thinking about it too. So many of you know I don't do too much work on the agency side, but I do keep my toes dipped in because I want to just feel the pulse. Like, what are you going through that I can bring to the table in terms of education and resources as well? And when it comes to people pleasing, I took on a client at the end of this year. That was part of the stress in November. That is a PETA, like a know-it-all client. And I'm like, why did you ask me to do this for you when were more than capable of being able to do this if you're going to be checking every single thing that I do? So I'm like, lesson learned. And again, more about like being firm on things. Let's move over to the fun stuff now. So wins. I haven't officially checked my numbers when it comes to revenue. I feel like the crazy big goals that I have didn't hit those, but I feel like my revenue is on track. Funny enough, when I look at my Black Friday numbers, revenue-wise, I sold more money, but I feel like I sold a little bit less in terms of quantity because last year there was beta pricing where now it's the regular pricing for this year. So I'm like, that is also interesting just to note on its own, the whole differences in revenue just from Black Friday. So it was pretty cool to see that. I actually, a couple days ago, or from when I recorded this, had a call with a funnel expert about positioning some of my offers. And she gave me such great insights. Yeah, and this is just a testimony, like even us who are mentors and bring educational offerings into the industry, we also need things to help us out because just like I say, sometimes you're too close to what you do in your business. So it's easy for me to kind of like pinpoint what you need to be doing for your business. I am too close to my business to sometimes know, like, I think things are great, bomb.com and all that. And not that things are terrible, but they just gave me a different perspective and a different angle to look at. And I think that that is so important. This was something else that came up in a recent marketing business school call, is if something is not working with you, what is the current positioning that you have on it? And what can you do to change or adjust the positioning? Like, the exact example was there's somebody's planning a women's getaway cruise, just women only, moms, ladies that just want to get away. And so I had mentioned maybe the thought of getting away, like that, one of the thoughts in my head is like, a lot of women, we don't feel like we deserve things. So have you put out that positioning that they deserve this, even though they might not think about that? Obviously, that's not the exact messaging. That's a little rough. But thinking about it from that standpoint, also, maybe people think, like, if you're just pointing out fun and having a fun experience together, spending time together, maybe people think they don't have to invest in something like that because they can have fun and have a great experience at home. So you have to tell them what the benefits are or what the difference is about actually going away versus staying at home and experiencing that. So again, like, really being creative. And I want to touch on this next week when we talk about like niching down and getting specific on who to sell. Because when I did a survey on this, there wasn't many specifics, and I'll get more into detail next week. But I feel like that is what the difference is between like advisors who are like getting a lot of success in their business versus those that aren't. Like, I feel the differences are a lot of successful advisors that I know are really great at networking and relationship building. So even if they don't do a lot of stuff on digital marketing, they do great stuff in their local communities, especially if you're small towners, that way. The other means of like being super successful is that you have a very specific niche and you're very well connected within that niche, or you put yourself out there enough within that niche that you're very well known for this type of travel. So if that doesn't sound like either one of you, join us next week at next week's episode, because I'm going to be giving a lot of really great ideas and then also hopefully some guidance on how to adjust that. So positioning, angling. This probably should have been the first one on my list, because summer camp at sea this year came at such a pivotal, like, I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it to summer camp at sea this year. It was July 7th, and hold on, let me look at my calendar. Legit 10 days before that is when I went in for my hysteroscopy, which is a minor surgical procedure. And because it was a minor surgical procedure, my surgeon had no problems with me going on the cruise, where I was like, well, shoot, I'm going to be recovering for a little bit. But I was fully able to go. Summer camp at sea wasn't only amazing because of the event. It was amazing because of the women that were there with me, who were supporting me when I had mentioned, like, I'm not sure if I can even go. Like, I will give you the instructions for everything, and I will try and drive down the day before the cruise so I can at least see you. But I don't know that I can say it. Like, even as I was in that recovery portion, I was like, I'm going to test it out. I'm going to pack. I'm going to pretend like I'm going to be going, but we're going to see. And it was just so much support for everything that I had been going through. So when I was able to make it on the ship, I was like, oh my goodness, this idea that I had last year, because I was frustrated because I couldn't work on my business, is finally coming to life. And it's coming to life with not only just amazing attendees, but people that I'm very close with in this industry. Some of my really great friends, who I would even go as far as to say now my extended family within the industry. our bonds and relationships were strengthened there. We got a lot of stuff done. We got a lot of work done. And that was the whole point of summer camp at sea, was to get work done. Like, I say over 5,000 emails between us we collectively cleared out is probably closer to 10,000. And a lot of that one happened to be mine because I did have a lot of emails. We just had a great time having so much fun with each other when things went topsy-turvy, because what we found is that it's a little bit slower of a season during the summertime. And so I think on our particular ship where the conference rooms were at, it was kind of like a go-through for a lot of the crew members. So they would just like walk while we were working in the conference room and had reserved the conference rooms. They would just walk back and forth, and we're like, no, excuse me, like, this is a private session. And so, like, just to be able to commiserate over all of that, plus a lot of other things that happened on the cruise. If you haven't seen some of my reels, like, watch the highlight that's on my Instagram about summer camp at sea, because there is some funny stuff that's on there. But that really was one of the highlights. I will also say, personally, I was able to bring my partner on his first ever cruise, and that was another like really top highlight. We went for my birthday, and that was just a really great experience because he loved it. So I'm like, whew, okay, we can stay together long term now. And it was just beautiful and relaxing, and it also opened his eyes to certain things, because he did have a couple mental health stuff a little bit earlier this year as well, so it's been a trying year for us all. But yeah, and I mentioned our cruise because it happened to be on the same ship. When I went with my partner, we went on the Western Caribbean. When I went with summer camp at sea, we were in the Eastern Caribbean. Next year we're going to Alaska. And I just can't wait, because one, I can't wait to like squeeze everybody. We got such great content. Oh my goodness, because that's another big component of summer camp at sea. So I definitely want to see you there. If you are done working by yourself and you're ready for like a workation where we're heavy on the fun and we're heavy on the work, but it's not 24/7 work, then you've got to join us next year. So make sure to head over to the link in the description to check out more of summer camp at sea, because I'm hoping like to figure, like, each year we'll kind of switch locations around. But it's very important that I kind of have like a certain amount of days at sea so that we can get the work done on those days at sea. And then when we're in port, you can have all the fun and we get all the content together. Like I mentioned last week, normally on vacation, you don't really, unless like you do have like that Instagram partner or a travel advisor who is like-minded, you don't really have access to anybody that will take also your picture or get you in content when you're in destination. And that's one of the huge perks when we travel together at summer camp at sea. Many of us are well versed in creating content, and I have new gadgets for this year also that I'm super excited to test out. So it's work, it's content, it's play, it's Alaska. We're going to be all together. Just so much good stuff. You definitely have to be there. Another thing that happened this year, so prep for Wave Week, and I believe I explained this in my wins and losses for 2025, that a resounding amount of people that were at Plan Your Year last year, or that, yes, for 2024. I think I messed up the year there. But a lot of the people that attended Plan Your Year historically has been it originally was in December, and then I moved it up. So it's the past couple of years, it's been the week before Thanksgiving. And resounding amount of feedback was saying like, this is not enough time. Like, we've made the plan, but we need to implement the plan, but we need more than like just a couple of weeks in between the holidays. So I was like, okay, we'll bump it up to October. Everybody loved that idea, and that idea works so well. Because of that, Prep for Wave Week, which historically has been in October, needed to bump up in September, and that worked fantastic. I normally do like a 3-week promotional plan for Prep for Wave Week, and I bumped this up. I wanted it to be like 8 weeks, but I think it ended up being like 6 weeks just because of all the house stuff that was happening. That paid off. Like, I hit my personal goal of over 1,000 attendees at Prep for Wave Week. So thank you, all of you that shared and registered and attended and were there. It was an incredible event. I'm still hearing great feedback about some of the sessions that we had this year. So huge thank you. So yeah, if you have been concerned about like promoting too early, don't be concerned about promoting like a group trip or anything like that too early, because especially with today's consumer, they need time to marinate on things. They need time to get to know you. They need time to trust you, to make sure that what you say is actually going to happen, because they have been burned in the past in some way or fashion. Like, I have been burned in the past in some way or fashion. So they're a little bit more discerning. So this is also why it's important to, like, whatever weirdo flag that you fly, make sure that you fly that proudly, because the right weirdos are going to come to you. This is also why specificity is so important. And I point to niching, because if you are not clear on something, people are going to be so confused. And that's like, I know there were a lot of events that happened in September, and like, I feel like there was, like, when I compare different sales pages, like, mine is so specific on what Prep for Wave Week is and what it is not. And there was another sales page that I'm like, this feels like this is a lot of different events in one. Like, I don't feel like if I was primarily a travel advisor that I could identify that this is what I needed in my business, because there was so much being thrown at you. So thinking about it from that perspective and knowing kind of like some of, not all the numbers, but some of the numbers, like, just specificity is so incredibly important, and being able to do things early and talk about it multiple times, and also not muddy your promotional efforts. So if you have a group trip that is going to Paris in the springtime, the only thing you should be talking about is something related to your niche, and then this group trip. Like, that's the only thing, especially if you're trying to sell some spots, that's the only thing. Like, you should not be talking about also going to South Africa or enjoying the Great Barrier Reef for the first time. Your girlfriend getaway to Paris is the priority, and that needs to be the focus. Also, do not sleep on the power that is like one-on-one relationships. So feel free to reach out and follow up with people. If you had a wait list, follow up with those people. If you know people that might be interested in a trip that you might have to offer and that you need to sell a couple more spaces, mention that to people. Like, if you have people that are in like your little friend family army who will preach the great word of you, utilize that for your business. A lot of things, like, it's not just like text or posts that are going to help. It's also going to be able to see people, hear people, wanting to get, like, I feel like a lot of people feel duped a lot now too because of AI. And AI is like a foe and a friend a little bit nowadays. And because they don't want to feel duped, and because there's so much AI garbage that's out there, really having your face front and center is going to be so important when it comes to your marketing efforts, especially in 2026. So if you have not put your face in front of the camera and started recording face-to-camera reels, this is going to be your time to practice those face-to-camera reels. And like my good friend Jen Myers at Host Agency Reviews recently said on one of the Friday 15s, practice sucking. Because I promise you, those first couple face-to-cameras, they're going to suck. Because mine did. And if you're not used to like talking publicly, speaking publicly, it's not going to be that pretty. And that's okay. The way that you get better is by practicing and doing it more often. That is the only way. So you have to get over like this ugly phase, this ugly, like, this toddler, you feeling like a little child, to get better there. Thinking about another event that happened this year, Black Friday, I added 2 sessions this year. So travel industry Black Friday, it's normally about 10 days. I feel like I need to start promoting that a little bit earlier. And I felt like I did, but again, November was a weird time. So I probably could have done a little bit better in the but I went really hard during Black Friday. So thank you again if you signed up and if you attended our networking sessions. And then we also had a hot seat coaching, just 2 really great sessions, really upped the engagement for that event, because I felt like there was like a little dip last year and I don't feel like there was that much of a dip this year. Speaking of networking, I definitely want to do more of that. And it sounded like everybody who was on that networking call loved that call and how I structured it, which was inspired by one of my other friends who's not within the travel industry. So I'm really hoping, and you're going to have to be on my email list to get the updates for this, that in the odd months, so January would be an odd month, so I need to start looking up dates for our networking event, that I can host these like virtual Zoom networking sessions. Because I think, 1, it's just going to be really great for us to meet each other within this industry. And 2, it's going to be really great for you to be able to see like who are the other people that you can go to for assistance. And then also, like, if you specialize in Ireland and Scotland, but your friend specializes in like ocean cruises, or somebody that you've met specializes in ocean cruises, that's just going to be a really great contact for you to have as a referral partner, and vice versa. So just really great overall. So stay tuned to that, because more of that is coming in 2026. I will have to say another great big win for me was blogging. So I know last week I was talking a lot about the unofficial blogging challenge that I had, and like just seeing my numbers going up, my stats going up on my blog, being able to have more blog posts on there. Again, it's a little too early to kind of like see what the outcomes are for that. But I am very proud of myself that I committed to something while I didn't like hit the goal. I just feel like very confident and comfortable. Like it doesn't feel like nails on a chalkboard anymore when I think about blogging. I'm just like, this is something that I have to do and I have to keep at it, especially if I want to get caught up, which I really, really want to get caught up on. But it is hard because I'm constantly producing podcast content too. So this is going to be a little bit of little engine that could, but super duper proud of that. Then there were a lot of wins that weren't my personal wins, but I feel like I'm on cloud 9 sharing them because they're wins from people in my community, or they're wins from people who have learned from me and just taken a lot away from these different experiences. So I am incredibly humbled. Many of you know that I assist with TMP on the River, Travel Marketplace. Travel Marketplace, if you didn't know, is an event that typically happens in Canada. And this is through Travel Market Report, a really great publication that's in the industry that does a lot of like industry insights. And so they have different travel marketplaces throughout Canada throughout the year. And then they also have this TMP on the River. It's a partnership with AMA Waterways. And so I have been one of the guest educators and the guest speakers. This past year was our 2nd year, and then we're going to do our 3rd year coming up here in 2026. I'm not sure if there's any space available, but if you are interested in sailing with me, happy to provide you with that. I can check on and see if there's any space, because I would love to meet you. But I am so excited to be going back on next year, and I have new presentations that I'm planning. But I remember this past year, I was speaking a lot on AI and how to use it for your content marketing efforts. And this travel advisor at the end of my last presentation, because I think I had at least 2, maybe 3 presentations on AI, just gave me the biggest hug. And she was like, she felt like she was stuck, like there was no room to grow within her agency, and that I had just expanded her world viewpoint when it came to business, and I opened up all these different possibilities for her. I'm like, that is one of the highest compliments that I have received. And I'm just like, how did I do that? But I'm just so happy that it happened, because that really is what drives me to do the work that I do, to show up every Friday here for you, to share my own insights, to give you pep talks sometimes, to share what's working, what might not be working, what I'm seeing trending and all that, is because I remember that those types of resources were not available 15 years ago when I first got into this industry. And so what I'm doing now is almost like a pay it forward, and I want the future generations and the future travel business owners to be better prepared and better equipped, because I don't want people to say, oh, travel and that's still a thing. And I don't want people to not take you seriously as a travel advisor. And I don't want people to be like, oh, but this other person doesn't charge a fee, blah, blah. Poo poo, go and throw that all in the garbage. No, I want this to be seen as professional as any other professional industry. And this is what really fuels the work that I do, because I know what we can be seen as. I know what your business can look like, and I am here championing you every step of the way. So all of these little wins just light my soul on fire, warm my heart, and I just can't, it just keeps driving me to do better, be better, get exposed to other things so I have better means for you as well. So it's just, there's so many different layers when it comes to this. I have a community member who can't really discuss, but received an opportunity, an incredible opportunity, and said that the only reason that they would have received this opportunity is because of things she did because of my guidance within my programs. And that was another, like, are you kidding me? Me? Rita Perez, Rita, I did that for you? It just, man, like that, it means a lot. And again, like, as much as you guys like help fill my cup, like that's exactly, I want to pour it right back into you, because you deserve it just as much, because you all have the capability of doing great things within your business. A lot of the feedback that I got from Prep for Wave Week this year was that people felt seen within the travel advisor community for the first time. They felt like they were actually part of a supportive community. And there are so many different communities within this industry. So to hear something like that about something that I created, again, means so much to me. The last thing that I have on this like wins list is finally crossed 1,000 people on my Instagram. Whoop, whoop. I had been like that on my LinkedIn for quite some time now. But I had been working my patootie off to get that on Instagram. And like, I'm like already like, okay, what's the next thing? Like, what's the next level on Instagram? So just super excited. If you are following me on Instagram, thank you. If you've been commenting, sharing, liking anything, just very much appreciated. I see you. And I love having conversations with you about lots of different things. I haven't been too present-ish in stories. Just again, transition with my partner here is, I feel weird getting on stories sometimes when he's there. Because normally it was just me talking in my house by myself to my friends, you as travel advisors. So it kind of feels weird, but I'm starting to get a little bit more back on track with like interacting with you on stories and things like that. I'll tell them like, hey, I'm just talking to my friends on Instagram. So I'm hoping that just with time, it gets a little bit more easy for me to get back on that. But Yeah, especially focusing on reels and carousel posts as my kind of like drivers of my Instagram account. That has proven very fruitful. So if you've kind of been stumped at that, and also like selling but not selling, like I've been doing a lot of relatability and connection content, and that has been resonating a lot. So just a pointer for you as well. Um, you can't be selling all the time on social media, because we don't like, I put myself in there too, because I don't like seeing it either sometimes, especially when it's a little too like, car salesman. Overall, when I think about 2026, I mentioned wanting to do more networking. That's a huge goal of mine. I also want to do more in-person events. So I do have the Ask the Travel Advisor conference on my radar, because I do have a couple of friends that are actually speaking at the event. So I want to go in support of them. I'm also turning the big 4-0 next year. And that is the week before ASTA conference. So I think me and my partner, we're going to make a vacation of it, go to California for the week before, be at Disneyland, yay, for my big 40th. And then I'll head on over to ASTA conference after that. So yeah, I want to be doing like more in-person things. Keeping up with blogging is going to be a big thing. I don't want to put that to the wayside like I have been the past couple of years. So that's a big focus of mine. In 2026, another big focus for mine is branding, because I've never done official like branding with anybody for this business. The logo and everything that I have, actually a friend created for me in Canva. And I've modified like some of the fonts, and I've modified some of the colors, but I feel like it is time. And that it's interesting because I'm getting ready to hit like 5 years of Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast in March. So it's feeling time, because my business name officially is Take the Helm, but I don't really use that name a lot. I can't really trademark that name. It's trademarked under different industries. And these are kind of some of the long-term opportunities that I'm thinking about, is like, in order to have like bigger opportunities, I do need to have like more professional branding and more cohesive branding. And so that's why I think 2026 might be the year that I do that. And that would include changing the business name, dun dun dun, which I would have never wanted to do, but I just don't feel like Take the Helm kind of align. It's still like the mission of like helping you take the helm of your business still aligns, but it just, I don't identify that as being the name of my business. And so I've been playing around. I've been asking a couple friends for like some suggestions. I think maybe we've got something nailed down, but I'm not going to reveal anything just yet. But I have been doing a lot in terms of innerish work when it comes to like thinking about my brand, what it stands for, what it means. And this is also kind of why I say, like, if you don't have the means or the resources when you start up on your business, it's okay. Like, you can still generate revenue without having full on branding. But when there's going to come a point in time, and I don't know that I can exactly pinpoint it, but it's just, I feel like I've outgrown. I feel like I'm a bit more mature in my business, and I just feel like it's the right time to kind of elevate things a little bit. And so 2026 definitely feels like that. Branding, networking, in-person vlogging are kind of like the big goals. The other big goals kind of have to do a lot with the word of the year, which my friend Amber, I think I'm going to stick with the word that I originally mentioned. So there has been a word that I have been thinking about probably since middle of 2025 that I'm like, I think that's going to be my word of the year. And I don't know if you can already like guess what it is. But when you think of 2025 felt way like a roller coaster to me. And I don't like roller coasters in general. I am craving more stability. Like, I was joking around with some friends, like, I want a boring business. I want a more predictable business. I want something that I do this and this happens. Or because I've done all of this, like I've gotten to X point or whatever it might be. So when you think about those types of things, a little bit boring, doing a little bit things more predictable. Another one of the things that I had thought of is like, you've got to stop creating new things. Like, just keep doing the things that you've been doing and do the greater and better. And so I believe, unless something dramatic changes, stability is going to be my word for 2026. I think stability, and when I think of my words, it's not just stability for me. I feel like this is also like, what can I do to make your lives and your businesses have a little bit more stability in 2026? It'll be very, very interesting too, because when I think about Chinese astrology, 2025 was the year of the snake, so lots of shedding, peeling back, getting rid of things that don't serve us. So maybe that's why it was such a crazy year for so many of us. And 2026 is supposed to be the year of the horse. And if you haven't shed everything, you are going to hold that horse back. So I'm personally just trying to make sure all my ducks are in a row before we get to that year of the horse. And I feel like stability kind of works with that. Like, being grounded on even footing feels very much horse-like as well. So I'm going to lean in on that as my 2026 word of the year. I would love to hear from you. Make sure like there's going to be a link in the show description that you can send me a text with your thoughts. I would love to hear like, what is your word of the year for 2026, or what are things that you are calling in? Feel free, if you'd like to share with me some of the big lessons and things that you've learned from 2025. I'd love to hear that too. But I hope that this episode was super helpful and obviously very juicy. I know, very emotional at the beginning, but wanted to end with the goods, and I hope that I have. Guys, thank you so much for another incredible year of the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast and just everything that comes in this ecosystem, all the different events, my programs. This has really been, like, when I think about the good things, they do really outweigh all the not so great things that happened this year. And those were also drivers when the not so great things were happening for me. I was just focused on some of the good things and the great outcomes that you have had. So as we're closing here on 2025, good riddance. Just a wholeheartedly super huge thank you for being here, being so supportive of me, being so supportive of even some of the people that I've brought onto the podcast or into your world. It really, really means a lot. And I'm not like daring for the stars in 2026. I just need it to be better than 2025 was. And I hope you all are in the same boat with me. All right. Have a happy, wonderful, and very safe New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Day. And I will see you on the podcast again in 2026. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.